Hello, everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the syllabus for EDSC 550, Social and Cultural Competencies. Look, if you're tuning in, you're likely stepping into the world of school counseling. And let me just tell you, you are at the start of an absolutely incredible journey. This isn't just another class you just kind of check off a list to get your degree. No, this is your blueprint for becoming a truly equity-driven school counselor. We're going to break down exactly what this semester looks like, what's expected of you, and honestly, how this course is going to completely transform the way you support your future students. Right out of the gate, let's meet the architect of this whole experience, Professor Tomiko Bobo. As she puts it, she comes with a wealth of knowledge and looks forward to sharing it with you. And she's not just an instructor, she is a deeply seasoned mentor. Professor Bobo has been with Concordia University since the very beginning of their school counseling program back in 2011. Actually, she's had the unique pleasure of teaching every single course in the entire program. So she knows exactly how EDSC 550 fits into the giant puzzle of your education and your future career. 29. I want to let that sink in for a second. That is the sheer volume of real-world experience backing up this curriculum. 29 years Professor Bobo has spent working in the trenches as a school counselor. And she didn't just stay in one lane either. She's worked across all three levels, elementary, middle, and high school. She's seen the entire developmental arc of students, from their very first day in a classroom all the way to the day they walk across the graduation stage. So when she assigns you a project, you can trust for sure that it's rooted in nearly 3 decades of practical, life-changing work. Okay, let's quickly map out your roadmap for the semester. We're looking at 6 key milestones. Welcome to EDSC 50. Uncovering school data priorities, exploring bias and leadership, designing advocacy and strategies, creating equitable interventions, and wrapping up with essential course logistics. These are the critical steps that will build your counselor journey. So let's dive into part 1. Welcome to EDSC 550, the mission and the mentor. The stakes here? They're incredibly high. The main focus of EDSC 550 is your ability to truly understand and apply cultural and social justice competencies, specifically with marginalized populations. It's about figuring out who actually needs the most support in your school system and taking decisive, informed action to help them. You're going to be asked to identify and address your own personal biases and figure out how to integrate multicultural trends when you're out there developing curriculum. It's challenging work, sure, but it's the exact work required to be a genuine advocate for your students. Moving right along to Section 2, Uncovering School Data Priorities, which brings us to Assignment 1, Systemic Context. This is where you really roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty with real school data. You're going to pick your intended practicum or fieldwork site and use credible sources, like the California School Dashboard, to surface actual achievement and opportunity gaps. Now, for Part B of this assignment, you'll outline how you'll lead equitable responses using both direct and indirect services. Direct services are exactly what they sound like. That's your face-to-face time with students doing instruction, appraisal, counseling. Indirect services, that's the behind-the-scenes magic to support those students. Things like consultation, collaboration with teachers, and referrals. You have to clearly describe how both of these avenues will tackle the specific barriers faced by marginalized students at your specific site. Listen, time management is going to be your absolute best friend here. Assignment 1 sneaks up fast. It's due week 2, Sunday by 11:59 p.m. You'll need to submit the ASK School Data Priorities template along with a quick 1 to 2 page narrative synthesizing Part B. Mark your calendars right now so you have plenty of time to really dig into that school data. All right, on to Part 3, Exploring Bias and Leadership, covering Assignments 2 and 3, which are all about self-awareness. Now, I want you to ask yourself, how do your own personal biases actually impact your equitable counseling practice? We all have biases, right? Assumptions about age, cultural parenting styles, gender roles. Recognizing them isn't a weakness, it's a professional necessity. And that is the whole core purpose of Assignment 2. You literally cannot effectively dismantle barriers for students if you haven't first examined the lenses through which you're viewing them. So, for the implicit bias paper, you'll head over to the Harvard Implicit Bias Assessment site and take 2 tests of your choice. After that, you'll write a 2 to 3 page APA 7 paper. You need to identify 2 personal limitations or biases, analyze the people, experiences, or systems that shaped them, and explain how they might affect your ability to provide equitable counseling. Then, wrap it up with the growth plan. Specific strategies you'll use to keep those biases in check moving forward. This one is super actionable, and it's due week 3, Sunday, right before midnight. Once you've spent some time analyzing yourself, Assignment 3 shifts the lens to leadership. Due in week 4, this one pushes you to connect theory to practice. You'll pick an ASCA position statement, cultural diversity, anti-racist practices, or equity. Then grab one peer-reviewed leadership or change theory relevant to school counseling. Your paper is going to explain how that theory informs your work, how you'd apply it to advocate for equity at your site, and you'll identify concrete strategies for collaborating with administrators, teachers, and families. It's basically taking theory off the page and putting it to work. Next up, Section 4, Designing Advocacy and Strategies, which brings us to Assignment 4, Outward Leadership. This is the visually creative part of the semester. You're researching a historically or currently marginalized social identity group and building a 24 by 36-inch virtual poster. The steps are super clear. Step 1, define the group and their K-12 context. Step 2, synthesize at least 3 peer-reviewed sources, focusing on the barriers they face. Step 3, propose actionable strategies a counselor can lead in 3 key areas. Think student engagement, discipline, or school culture. And step 4, clearly lay out the intended equity outcomes and exactly how you'll measure progress using ASCA student standards or participant data. You'll upload this visual translation of evidence into action as a Google Slides or PDF by week 6, Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Now, because this is a poster, design and accessibility totally matter. Use clear headings, readable fonts, create a good visual hierarchy, and make sure you're using plain language labels and alt text for any images. Almost there. Section 5, Creating Equitable Interventions. This is Assignment 5, all about action and impact. This is where the whole semester comes full circle. Assignment 5 has 2 parts. Part 1 is designing an ASCA-based lesson plan for a classroom or small group, linking a learning objective to ASCA mindsets and behaviors. But Part 2, that's where the real magic happens. You're going to complete pages 1 through 4 of the Achievement Gap Plan template. And the data for this? You're pulling the exact data you found way back in Assignment 1 during week 2. You'll identify barriers, define measurable goals, and propose services to close that gap. It is such a cool way to see how your initial data collection directly informs your ultimate intervention strategies. Finally, Section 6, Essential Course Logistics. Let's quickly plan out your semester. Here's your timeline at a glance. Week 2, data. Week 3, bias and self-reflection. Week 4, connecting theory to ASCA positions. Week 6, your visual poster presentation. And week 8 is your final interventions assignment. But wait, look closely at that last bullet point. Assignment 5 is due on a Wednesday, not a Sunday. I repeat, a Wednesday. Please adjust your calendars right now so that week 8 deadline doesn't catch you off guard. Remember, you're never doing this alone. Your very first live Zoom session is coming up quick on Wednesday, August 26th, 2026 from 6 to 7:30 p.m. The link is waiting for you over in Canvas. Professor Bovo is also super accessible. If you have questions, call or text her direct line at 310-218-6388 or just shoot her an email at tamiko.bovo@cui.edu. Seriously, don't hesitate to reach out. She's got decades of knowledge and she's ready to share it. So we've gone through the whole syllabus. You've got the assignments, the deadlines, and the expectations. But I want to leave you with one final vital question. Now that you have the roadmap, how are you going to use this semester to genuinely dismantle barriers and transform your school's culture? This isn't just about getting a grade. The data you pull, the biases you confront, and the interventions you design over these next 8 weeks literally have the potential to change the trajectory of real students' lives. Embrace the challenge, dive into the work, and get ready for an amazing semester. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.